Okay, this video is going to be about dividing polynomials. Now, we never really did division with polynomials like this. We did factoring. Factoring is definitely accomplishing the same thing as dividing, okay? Definitely is the same skill. I never gave it to you as division like this. So what we have here is 15 x to the third power plus 10x squared, and we're supposed to divide that by 5x. So we kind of write it as this fraction with two terms on top and one term on the bottom. And now we talked about simplifying this kind of fraction a few times. Basically what I told you is it's the same thing as splitting this up. This is the same thing as 15x to the third power divided by 5x. And 10x squared divided by 5x. So each of these terms needs to get divided by that monomial that was that we're dividing by on the bottom, okay? And we had a part question like this, and a few of you were able to simplify this fraction. I remember for sure that Miriam was able to simplify this fraction. We had a few others, but nobody else is like sticking out in my head right now. Okay, and you were able to get this simplified fraction by splitting it up and dividing both terms. Okay, so it's definitely a skill that came up a little bit, but I never taught it to you so formally. So this is what I'm telling you to do. Take those two terms on top and think of dividing each of those terms by the bottom term. So the 15x to the third power has to get divided by that 5x, and the 10x squared also has to get divided by that 5x. Now looking at 15x to the third divided by 5x. Okay, so we're looking at 15x to the third divided by 5x, and think about dividing the numbers. 15 divided by 5 is 3, and then x to the third power divided by x. Okay, if you remember from last year, when we're dividing, we have to subtract those exponents. Think of x times x times x divided by x. Well, 1x divided by x gets you just 1. So now you have 1 times x times x. 1 times x squared, or just x squared. So the rule was that you subtract those exponents. When we're dividing, we subtract those exponents. We're canceling one out. 10x squared divided by 5x. Well, 10 divided by 5 is 2, and x squared divided by x is x. Okay, you have 2 on top, 1 on the bottom. You're going to subtract 1 and be left with just 1x. So the answer is 3x squared plus 2x. Okay. The next one we'll talk about is question 3. In question 3, we're dividing 12x to the third power plus 8x squared by 2x. So first let's take the 12x to the third power and divide it by 2x. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. X to the third power divided by x to the first power. If we subtract those exponents, 3 minus 1, we get x squared. And now I want you to go ahead and try to divide 8x squared divided by 2x. Okay, 8x squared divided by 2x, you're going to do the 8 divided by 2, that is 4. And x squared divided by x, if you subtract those exponents, you're left with just 1x. Now, if you think back to factoring, it's the same thing. If you took 2x and multiplied it back times 6x squared plus 4x, right? We divide it, so we want to multiply back to check it. Well, 2x times 6x squared gets you back to 12x to the third power. 2x times 4x gets you back to 8x squared. So you can always go back and multiply your answer by the term that you divided by and make sure that it multiplies back to your original polynomial that you started off with. Okay, the next one that I would like to show you is question 5. Question 5 is a little bit longer, so you might find it a little bit harder. 25 y to the third power x squared plus 20 y to the fifth power x to the fourth power, and you're dividing that by 5yx. Now I'm sure some of you will enjoy this. You'll find it kind of like a little puzzle that you'll do in your head. Some of you think this looks a little bit crazy. So I want you to pause the video, spend 3 minutes trying to solve it yourself, and once you feel like you've got the answer, come back and check your work. Okay, I will start by dividing the first part. So 25y to the third power times x squared divided by 5y to the x. And I'll break it up further. First, I'm going to look at the numbers. 25 divided by 5. 25 divided by 5 is 5. Next, I'll look at the y terms. Y to the third power divided by y. Well, I know that one y is going to cancel out, right? Y to the third power divided by y. If we're taking out 1, think of dividing out 1, pulling out 1, factoring out 1. We're left with 2, so we're left with y to the second power. Then I'll look at x squared divided by x. Well, if I'm taking out 1x, I'm left with 1. So that first part divided to get 5y squared x. Okay, now I'm going to look at the second part. 20y to the fifth power x to the fourth power divided by, same thing, 5yx. Okay, so if I look at the 20 divided by 5, that's going to be positive 4. If I look at y to the fifth power divided by y, I'm taking out 1y. Okay, so I'm left with y to the fourth power. And if I look at x to the fourth power divided by x, again, I'm taking out 1x, so I'm left with 3x to the third power. And that is my answer. Okay, some of you might have found that hard. If you have more questions on this or similar questions, then please join us on Google Meet and ask me all of your questions live. Have a wonderful day.